Spotlight is a new workflow that is exclusive to Fusion customers. It allows users to perform a reactive investigation with minimal analysis or minimal additional reporting required. It runs off the data of the maze table. It takes the interaction between a user and patient on a given day in a given source and provides a report with scores and explanations. The former Quick Report button is now called Quick Search. Within Quick Search is the Execute button. If a user clicks Execute, it will still run a quick report in the same fashion we are used to. It runs over all data sources for any action of the user and/or patient in a timestamp order. Nothing will change with the Execute button. Instead of Execute with Insights, it has been replaced with Spotlight. Spotlight will produce a summarized report in that every row will be a user and patient interaction for a single data source and provides a score with explanations. To run a Spotlight report, use the same data fields as you would for a quick report, which includes the date range, user information, patient information, or a combination of both. Once a user clicks Spotlight, the report results will appear. During a patient's stay, there are thousands of care providers who access the chart. Instead of the report showing thousands of interactions of the multiple users who interacted with the patient, this tool will score the interactions for a more reactive investigation approach. Each row should display one file per day unless multiple files were sent on one day, for example, in the case of a file failure. The scores are listed in the risk column. The default sort option is by the risk column, meaning the highest risk interaction will be listed at the top. The max risk score is 100. The higher the score, the more likely the access was not appropriate. There's also an indicators column. Maze Technology referred to them as flags, filters, and indicators. We have renamed them to warnings, reasons, and notices. Warnings are the red X icon, reasons are the green check mark, and notices are the blue line. This information comes directly from the Maze AI software on every event. Warnings are bad things and might indicate bad actions, like snooping, violations, and infractions we run enforced policies for. Reasons are the actions that took place that might make access business related. They work similarly to our intelligent filters. Examples include the user had performed a modification on the chart, or the user had a coworker in the same department access the patient, or the patient appeared on a report, etc. Notices are simply informative statements, not necessarily good or bad, just provides information. If you want to view the details of one of these interactions, click the blue up and right arrow. It will produce a report similar to a drill down details report in FairWarning and will open in a new tab. It will display every event that occurred between that user and patient in that data source for 3 days before the date of access you selected and 3 days after the day of access, resulting in a 7-day period. If the report data spans more than one page, it will bring you directly to that page that contains the access you've selected. The date that you chose to see the details for will be selected and highlighted in a lighter blue color. There are checkboxes at the beginning of each row to select additional rows of data if needed. Any event row that is selected can be added to an investigation directly from this page. In the top right-hand corner, under Actions on Selected Events, click Investigate Events. Users can attach to an existing investigation or begin a new one, and any note that is entered in the notes box will also be added to the investigation. Users can sort and filter most columns using the drop-down arrows or the sort icons at the top of each column. Filtering works slightly differently on the Warnings, Reasons, and Notices columns. On Warnings and Notices columns, you can filter by no warnings or show rows with any warnings, and you can also filter by distinct value. For example, selecting Neighbor will only display the rows with neighbor appearing. For the Reason column, it works a little differently. Because reasons could explain a business-related purpose to the interaction, it will remove the items that are selected in the filter dropdown. The reason someone would run a Spotlight report is typically because they want to investigate suspicious behavior. Therefore, if this interaction was suspicious, we would not want to see the reasons where the user had a legitimate reason to access this patient. This is why in the Reasons column, the filter will remove the selected items from view. This is also why the word remove is listed in red text. For example, when admission, appointment, and department collaboration are selected and apply is clicked, the report will only display interactions that do not include these 3 reasons. To bring all interactions back to view, select Clear, then Apply. At the moment, the Spotlight report cannot be exported. There are plans to include this feature in the future. Let's walk through a use case for the Spotlight feature. Jenny Gonzalez is an employee at our facility and calls the hotline to report that she believes her coworker may have looked at her chart when she was admitted after not feeling well after her shift on January 23rd. Let's see how Spotlight can quickly help us identify if there was any suspicious access to her record during this stay. I will enter the date in question, along with Jenny's information. I am now looking at any user who had an interaction with Jenny's record on January 23rd. Let's use the indicators and the risk score to help us determine which access is inappropriate. Starting with the indicators column, remember the red X's are warnings, an indicator of bad behavior. I simply hover over the icon to see that this user and Jenny are coworkers. The blue icon indicates notices, and when I hover over the notice, I see that Jenny is an employee of the facility. The green checkmark icons are the reasons a user had for accessing the record and may explain their business-related reason for accessing Jenny's chart. The high risk score of the access between Cassidy and Jenny, that this access is likely to result in an investigation. We see that there is only one line of access that is questionable that took place on this day, which was Cassidy Grimes' access. From our warnings, we can see that Jenny and Cassidy are coworkers. Coworkers are defined as two people who work in the same department. Let's look into exactly what Cassidy looked at on Jenny's chart. Select the blue arrow icon to open up the detailed report of what Cassidy accessed on the chart. We can see Cassidy has view-only actions on the record, and the reasons column does not list any business-related reason as to why Cassidy would need to be in this chart. But we do see the warning of a coworker and notice that Jenny is an employee. At this point, we can go ahead and start an investigation into this incident. All lines of this access are pre-selected for us. If there were other lines of events, I could use the checkboxes to select them. Once the events are selected, to attach them to an investigation, select Investigate Events. I can either attach these events to an existing investigation or begin a new investigation. Through this example, we hope you've been able to identify the ways the Spotlight feature will be helpful in finding bad behavior within your event data.